Hello and welcome to GDPR365. I'm going to be going through the home screen of GDPR365. GDPR365 is a full GDPR compliance management service hosted online, which enables you to make your company compliant in the easiest possible manner. If you manage a number of organizations, it's very easy to switch between them. You simply click the switch organizations, move to the next one, and you can work with different companies one after the other. The first thing you do with GDPR 365 is an organization interview. This determines what functionality we unlock. It also determines the depth of that functionality, i.e. the complexity of that functionality, and the package that you will be charged for. Organization setup is where you simply set up information about your organization so that we can understand it and who your supervisory authority is. Data Protection Officer is where you determine whether you must appoint a data protection officer or whether you can voluntarily appoint a data protection officer. Certain organizations do not need to appoint a data protection officer. Data mapping is a complex area of the GDPR. It is where you map all the data that flows through your organization. And this is done, in our case, by doing it by data subject type. A data subject is any individual about whom you hold information. So we choose the data subjects that we hold information about, and then what we do for each of the data subjects is we define a processing purpose. Why am I processing information about these people? And I give some information about that. For each processing purpose that you define, you have to state what personal data you're holding about them, what sensitive personal data you're holding about them, and sensitive personal data is the kind of data you see there: biometric, facial shape, fingerprints, genetic, political opinions, etc. And then you also determine the locations where you process that data. These can be in-house or they can be external, in which case these entities are processors with whom you need to have a contract. At any point in time, you can visualize your full data mapping of your organization, which breaks it down into significant detail and is very useful. The data mapping informs a number of things. One of the things which it informs is our area of governance. Our area of governance covers things like your privacy notice, subject access query requests, internal documents, policy documents, and optional policy documents. We generate a privacy notice for you from the data mapping, and you can then use this piece of code, for example, to put it on your website at every single point where you collect information. It has to legally be there. Similar thing with subject access requests. We provide you with the code to enable a subject access request to be submitted from your website, and we manage the entire process of subject access requests. Employees and employee training. We offer the ability to send out policy documents to employees and manage who has received and who has not received and acknowledged certain documents. And this is an essential part of GDPR, is to keep your staff informed and up to speed, new joiners as well. The main compliance areas that we cover are all in the GDPR, obviously: data subject consent, electronic marketing, HR practices, and information use and security. We make use of checklists with background to determine your level of compliance and risk. At any point in time, you may run a status report which outlines a full status of your entire GDPR compliance program. This you could also call a risk assessment report. So it gives you everything that has been started. And if, for example, I'm going into a meeting with my compliance officers in order to see what is outstanding, this now shows me in all those areas exactly what is outstanding, and I can generate a PDF and download it automatically. Data protection impact assessments are where your organization is making significant changes in the way processes are run in the business. You must do a data protection impact assessment, and you may potentially need to have this validated by the supervisory authority. We provide all the recording of 9 steps of creating a data protection impact assessment. Processors is where we keep the processor contracts and the various statuses that they are in. We provide default template contracts for that purpose. Data sharing is the same, but for data sharing agreements, which are slightly different to processor agreements. Subject access is where those forms are submitted. We have the full record of all subject access requests, and you can go through the process of managing whether you give that information to the individual requesting it or not. And we have all the required response guides for that. Breach management is where you record any breaches that have occurred in your organization. Potentially, you create the letter to the supervisory authority. Potentially, you have to notify all your data subjects. So that is a brief overview of the GDPR 365 service. Thank you very much.